Howdy folks, Nathan Adlin here with
Tommy Micah.
And we have a very special buyer's guide for you. It's for this vehicle behind us, the 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yes, now we're doing this, guys, because this vehicle has a ton of different variations. In fact, it starts at just under 31 grand, and the one behind us is what, like 78?
Yeah, this is one of the most flexible platforms they have, and coming up next, we're going to tell you all about it.
Alright, Nathan, let's start with powertrains. Now we've got a few different engine options, starting with the 3.6 liter Pentastar.
Yeah, the Pentastar V6 is basically the bottom level for this vehicle, but it's available in almost every trim with the exception of the SRT.
Yeah, and keep in mind there are four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive variants. We'll get into that in a second, but there's also the 5.7 liter Hemi available on some of the top trims.
And there's one other thing we need to discuss, and that's the 3 liter V6 diesel.
So the Eco Diesel's been under a lot of controversy recently. It's not currently available in the Grand Cherokee. And of course there's the top tier 6.4 liter Hemi, which we have in the SRT behind us, and that makes like 475 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. Now in terms of engine options, if you do go for the 5.7 liter Hemi, it's typically right around $3,300 to $3,800 depending on trim. Now guys, a lot of these options are going to vary in price depending on the level, and there's 8 different trim levels. Nathan, what are the different trim levels?
Okay, it starts at the Laredo and then it jumps up to the Laredo E, which as far as we can tell just has a few minor options over the Laredo, which has almost no options.
Right.
Then you have the Altitude, the Limited, the Trailhawk, the Overland, the Summit, and the SRT. And there's also a 75th anniversary version of the Laredo and Limited.
Yeah, so there's a ton of different options and availability with the Grand Cherokee. Now, as Nathan said, the Laredo is the base model, and that $30,995 price tag you'll see is with two-wheel drive, because you can still get the Grand Cherokee with two-wheel drive, right?
That's right. Almost every option actually gives you that except for the Trailhawk and the SRT. So you can get two-wheel drive through almost the entire line.
Now, if you do step up to four-wheel drive, there are a couple different options, which is kind of unique in a vehicle like this. Starting off, we have QuadraTrac 1, which is just basically a full-time four-wheel drive. Moving on, we have the QuadraTrac 2, which is similar to a QuadraTrac 1, but it offers a low range, and then it distributes power where it's needed. So that's pretty neat. From there, we have the QuadraDrive 2, which is on the Trailhawk Grand Cherokee, and also available in the Overland. The QuadraDrive 2 system also gives you the low range and an electronic limited slip differential, and we had some experience with that in Moab.
That's right. We've actually driven vehicles like that in Moab and in Texas, actually. And the bottom line is it's one of the ultimate systems for the Grand Cherokee for off-roading.
Right. And there's more off-roading goodies available on the Grand Cherokee. There's the QuadraLift system, which is an air suspension system.
That's right. Now, although we have varying degrees of experience with that system, one thing that is noted is that you get a lot of lift out of it.
Yeah, 10.8 inches of maximum ground clearance. One of the cool things available on the Grand Cherokee, and this is going back to that Jeep heritage, are the skid plate group. So there's a bunch of different skid plate options.
That's right, and that brings us to an option that both Tommy and I agree is one of the best options you can get, and that's the all-weather trail-rated package. And you can get that on some of the lower-end Grand Cherokees. And this gives you everything from engine block heater, skid plates throughout, full-size spare tire, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, hill descent control, remote start, and QuadraTrac 2. And that option, at least in some of the vehicles, is $1,695.
Yeah, like the Laredo E.
That's
so the
right.
Laredo E, this is actually very confusing. The Laredo is the very base model, but they don't let you get any options on the Laredo. You're stuck with the base model cloth, you're stuck with the Uconnect 5 system. If you go for the Laredo E, you do have the option to go to the 8.4 inches. You have some more packages available.
So don't be afraid to look when you're online checking out their website, because a lot of packages are bundled in unusual ways, but this is one of the few packages that I think gives you a lot for the money.
One thing as I think is crazy, if you get the Laredo E and you want all-terrain tires, which is an option, that's pretty cool, but to get all-terrain tires, they make you step up to 18-inch wheels and the 8.4-inch Uconnect system for some reason. So a lot of these options kind of feed into each other, and it's not just cut and dry. Some of the other options that are pretty neat that I would strongly recommend are the trailer tow group for around $800 depending on configuration. That gives you the 180 amp alternator, the class 4 hitch, full-size spare, extra cooling, and rear load leveling. And let's talk about some towing numbers on the Grand Cherokee because it's pretty capable.
Absolutely. Now, bear in mind that the 3.6 liter engine that's available from the base model on is pretty much stuck in a certain zone, and that starts at around 6,000 pounds.
Yeah, right around 6,200 pounds is going to be the max towing on that Pentastar, which to me is crazy because I've got that V6 in the Wrangler. Towing 6,200 pounds in a heavier vehicle with that little V6 seems like it's a little crazy.
It's a little optimistic, but then again, we tend to, at high elevation, really push those vehicles to the limit. So curious to see what a vehicle like that would do on the Ike Gauntlet.
Yeah, and if you go for a V8, whether it be the 5.7 or the 6.4 in the SRT, you're going to have a max towing of 7,200 pounds, which is a pretty significant amount of weight.
That's right. Now, there is one more thing we wanted to mention, and that is the Trackhawk.
Right.
That's coming out. That's a 2018 model, and it will have basically, under the hood, a Hellcat engine.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. 707 horsepower in a Grand Cherokee. You know, honestly, I think it's kind of needed. We were talking about this earlier. 475 horsepower is a lot of power, but, you know, 5-6 years ago, that would have been mind-blowing. But today, it's just kind of...
It's
not,
decent.
Yeah, it's decent, but it's not crazy power, which is what an SRT should be, in my opinion. The SRT has its own completely different all-wheel drive system and an SRT Select Track mode, which gives you some different on-road performance variations. So in terms of other things that might be worth looking at, there is the full pano sunroof, which is around $1,000 depending on, of course, which of the 8 models you're looking at. I think that's pretty cool. The 5.7 liter Hemi is expensive, and the one option which is new for 17, which blows my mind, the signature leather wrapped interior package, which gives you leather all across the interior. It's really high quality apparently, and it's $5,000 on top of the already very high asking price. Now, Nathan, which of the Grand Cherokees would you get if you had any choice of the 8 trims and the engines and the 4-wheel drive systems?
Does it mean that the diesel would be available?
Well, let's take that out of consideration for now.
Damn, because I drove one of these with a diesel power plant, and it was fantastic off-road, and it got great mileage. So let's go to the other end of that. I'd probably get one of these because I've never had a sports wagon before, and this is the closest I think I could come. Yeah, to an American sport wagon. Or I would get the Trailhawk. The Trailhawk off-road behaves beautifully. It's a fantastic vehicle for off-roading, only a step below the Wrangler in terms of its capability.
You know, I think if it was me, this is kind of interesting. I would actually take a look at the Laredo E. So that is toward the lower end of the Grand Cherokee spectrum. A lot of kind of the middle models, the Altitude and the Limited, they tend to be kind of similar, and they're very luxurious, but you pay a lot for them. The Laredo E, you still get the cloth interior. I would still get the small Uconnect system, but you know, any Grand Cherokee is going to be quite comfortable. They're just big plush cars, big plush SUVs, which is great. Now, the Laredo E I would get with the, as we talked about, I think this is such a cool option, the all-weather trail-rated package for $1,695 that once again gives you the QuadraTrac 2 and the tow hooks and the skid plates. I think that's such a cool option that they offer. And of course, the top-of-the-line Summits and Overlands are great too. They're just, you know, the luxury you can get in those vehicles is mind-blowing.
It is their top-of-the-line model. I mean, it's one of their most expensive vehicles by far. And at the same time, it represents 3 different things. A luxury wagon, a luxury vehicle, and a luxury off-roader, all kind of combined into one thing.
The one thing that, you know, maybe I'm out there by myself, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinion, like we talked about, in the 4-wheel drive model range, the Pentastar is standard across the board, except in the SRT, but that's a whole other beast. I really don't know if you need that 5.7 V8. It's an expensive option. I think if you're planning on towing a lot, it's definitely worth a look, because 6,200 pounds with the 3.6 is a lot of weight, but I don't imagine that's going to be a lot of fun. Other things that I probably forgo, there's like a chrome package.
Now, there are some extra special trims, basically limited edition vehicles that come out. One of the things they're doing is they're doing the 75th anniversary Jeep Grand Cherokee on the Laredo and on the Limited. Now, there are different prices. The one on the Laredo's at $33,375. That's 4-wheel drive. They don't have a 2-wheel drive option. And then if you get the Limited, which is definitely a step up in terms of interior and goodies, it's $43,605. They have a lot of extra badging throughout, and they have unique colors. The whole point is that you can get a lot of stuff bundled in a package if you do go for one of those special anniversary models.
So what was cool is we drove the 75th last year, and this really cool forest green. It was this really rich dark green.
Yeah, it looked great.
Just beautiful color. I believe that's exclusive to 75th anniversary Grand Cherokee models. You know, the one model that I'm a little bit disappointed in, and it's very capable off-road, but it's a lot of money, is the Trailhawk. So you do get some cool perks with the Trailhawk. You get that 25.7 degree approach angle, the 27.1 degree departure. You get the air suspension, and you got the QuadraDrive 2.
Special tires too.
Yep, special tires, but you don't get a rear locker. I'd love to see the addition of a rear locker to the Grand Cherokee range, because you can get it in the Cherokee Trailhawk.
Right.
But not the Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. You just have that LSD in the rear.
Tommy's right. I mean, especially being able to flip a switch and lock up that rear end, that would be fantastic.
If you have any other input on what you'd love to see in a Grand Cherokee, what you have in a Grand Cherokee, what you love about your Grand Cherokees, let us know in the comments below.
So thank you so much for joining us for the Fast Lane Car.
This is Tommy.
And Nathan. We'll see you next time.
Bye.